The anomalies in the SCP Wiki range from small to large, friendly to hostile, and safe to dangerous, and the way most of them look usually gives away their anomalous nature. Some entries appear so ordinary, however, that one can only be left in shock when they do something extraordinary. In this video, we explore the top 5 ordinary-looking SCPs, but before we do, make sure to subscribe with notifications on so you don't miss any of our upcoming videos. Number 5. SCP-3108 Object Class Safe. SCP-3108 is a Nerf dart gun, which despite being modified, appears to be normal. The same can be said about 3108-1, which is a foam dart that was loaded within the toy at the time of discovery. Also, the phrase, "OP, please Nerf," is inscribed on the exterior of SCP-3108-1 in red ink. However, despite these objects' appearance, when something is shot with this dart and weapon combination, 3108's anomalous properties become apparent right away. This is because when 3108-1 is fired into a target, this object will instantaneously be transformed in such a way so that the result is perceived as worse by the individual wielding the weapon, and this isn't any minor transformation. In fact, complete molecular reconstructions often occur as a result. Also, the resulting objects do not show any evidence of anomalous traits, and finally, these transformations aren't objective, but stem solely from the opinions of SCP-3108's current holder. However, 3108 does not demonstrate these properties when firing Nerf darts other than 3108-1, nor does this dart demonstrate these properties when fired from a different Nerf gun. As we said, SCP-3108 has several modifications, one of which is the fact that the weapon's outer shell is composed of steel with bronze as decoration, and while not impervious to physical damage, this assembly of SCP-3108 has proven impossible due to its anomalous nature. As such, all tools used to dismantle the object will be transformed into broken or inferior equivalents. Both these objects were discovered during a birthday party for a 10-year-old named Jacob Pierce. It is presumed that SCP-3108 was fired at a concrete wall, resulting in the concrete being replaced by stones. The Foundation then became aware of this incident and 3108 was contained. During the investigation, it was discovered that Jacob's brother, Nathan, was a member of Gamers Against an SCP group of interest which is known for creating anomalous objects based on pop culture. As such, Nathan, who fled after the incident, is likely responsible for the creation of 3108, an ordinary-looking Nerf gun that can transform literally anything. Number 4. SCP-330 Object Class Safe. SCP-330 appears to be an ordinary stainless steel bowl filled with a variable amount of individually wrapped pieces of candy. Taped to the side of the bowl is a handwritten note reading, "Take no more than 2, please." All attempts to remove the note have failed, as have attempts to hide or obscure it. Also, testers have noted that it is impossible to ignore the note, and those who approach the bowl from a different angle are instinctively aware of this request. And as you can probably guess, SCP-330's anomalous effects become apparent when you take more than 2 pieces. When this is done, the offender instantly has both his hands severed at the wrists by an unknown method. And this doesn't only happen when you physically grab the candy. Experiments involving remote manipulation using robots resulted in the operator's hands being removed despite no direct contact. Also, inspection of the incisions reveals that the cut is made at the molecular level, leaving no tool marks. Furthermore, it is important that the last piece of candy must not be removed within a certain time frame, and after 24 hours, the count resets and additional candy can be removed. SCP-330 was discovered during a police investigation of a building which was reported to have been used for ritualistic dismemberment. 330 was seized as evidence, but all attending policemen were soon terminated in a redacted way after one of them emptied the entire bowl at once. Since its containment, many interesting tests have been conducted, but the bowl has never failed to punish the taking of more than 2 pieces. The most interesting test included a double amputee equipped with prosthetic arms. Within 45 seconds of taking the candy, the subject reported a burning itch from both his arm stumps and phantom pains from both his wrists. The subject's distress increased rapidly until he began to remove his prostheses, and upon removing them, he reported that the discomfort had ceased. The D-class was supplied with fresh prostheses right away, but the man felt that it was wrong to put them on. However, 24 hours later, this feeling was gone. So, as we see, SCP-330 not only detaches the hands of all people who ignore the note, but also mentally punishes them, and God knows what happened to the policeman who took a few pieces of candy from an ordinary-looking bowl. Number 3. SCP-294 Object Class Euclid. SCP-294 appears to be a standard coffee vending machine, the only noticeable difference being that the machine has a standard computer keyboard. Upon depositing 50 cents, the user is prompted to enter the name of any liquid using the keyboard. Upon doing so, a standard drinking cup is placed and the liquid is dispensed. So far, dozens of liquids have been requested, including water and coffee, non-consumable liquids such as sulfuric acid and motor oil, as well as substances that do not usually exist in a liquid state, such as nitrogen and iron, and every single one of these tests resulted in a success. Of course, the Foundation wanted to test SCP-294's capabilities, so many interesting liquids have been requested. Successful tests include liquid gold being dispensed when a cup of gold was requested, red grape wine being dispensed when blood of Christ was punched in, and an unidentifiable liquid when cerebral fluid of Fibromus Pattersoni was typed, despite that species being extinct for over 8 million years. Also, abstract substances have also been ordered, and some of them were successful. On one occasion, a cup of Joe was requested. Moments later, Agent Joseph, who was next to the machine, began to sweat profusely and complain of dizziness before collapsing. Analysis of the liquid revealed it to be a combination of blood, tissue, and other bodily fluids, all matching Agent Joseph's DNA. In another test, the perfect drink was requested, and after drinking the liquid, the researcher appeared to go into shock. The agent later took his own life, having left a note which read, "I'm sorry, but at this point, everything's just one big letdown." However, during an experiment, something very important about SCP-294 was discovered. When tasked with retrieving a unique liquid which was present on site, the same amount of liquid that was dispensed also appeared to be missing from the liquid's container. This means that the machine likely doesn't produce its drinks, but simply fetches them in an anomalous way. However, when tasked with delivering a cup of anti-water, the machine displayed the message out of range, meaning that it cannot retrieve substances from alternate realities. But still, the mere fact it can fetch any existing substance from nearby, as well as deliver knowledge and experiences in the form of drinks, is quite astonishing, and these capabilities certainly don't do this ordinary-looking vending machine justice. Number 2. SCP-4128 Object Class Euclid. SCP-4128 is a human male called Samson Sachs. The man appears to be normal, but he claims to be 108 years old, despite appearing to be middle-aged. But despite of this, DNA testing has confirmed his human origin. But the most shocking thing about 4128 isn't its age, but rather its physical capabilities. SCP-4128 is incredibly strong and resilient, and is capable of lifting over 44,000 pounds. Additionally, the man can sprint at over 50 miles an hour and can perform a 60-foot vertical leap. Scientific examinations have revealed that these extreme physical abilities owe to a special type of protein which is to be found in his body. As a result, SCP-4128's bones are 8 times denser than average. 4128's existence was first discovered in 1975 when reports emerged which detailed a man who lifted a tractor in order to save a woman from a wreckage. Since then, many similar incidents have occurred, all of which were later attributed to SCP-4128. Also, all of these incidents included some act of heroism, whether saving an innocent life or incapacitating a criminal. For example, on one occasion, the man freed a woman from a kidnapper by breaking her steel handcuffs using his bare hands. Also, on one occasion, a criminal stabbed SCP-4128 with a knife, but this resulted in the knife becoming bent. In another accident, a car full of 4 armed men was discovered on a rooftop, presumably because 4128 chucked the car into the air. But after many years of searching, SCP-4128 was finally captured and interviewed. The entity revealed that he was born with these incredible capabilities and that he was inspired to help people by the heroic things he had witnessed. As a result, 4128 believed that this was his higher calling, and he began to watch over the city, making sure that no crimes are being committed. So it seems that in the SCP Foundation, we have an anomaly that resembles Superman. Let's just hope that the agency doesn't detain SCP-4128 much longer and allows this ordinary-looking man to do what he does best, to protect us from criminals. Number 1. SCP-239 Object Class Keter. SCP-239 appears to be an 8-year-old girl, 1 meter in height and 20 kilograms in weight. On first glance, nothing is out of the ordinary, but examinations reveal that the girl emits a previously undiscovered form of radiation. These waves are harmless in low concentrations, but in higher doses can break down matter on a subatomic level. However, this isn't nearly as shocking as 239's main effect. This is because the girl has the ability to do whatever she wants to do on a psychological level as long as she is conscious, and as you can probably guess, this effect can be rather dangerous. But fortunately, 239 can only affect herself and her immediate surroundings, but in her vicinity she can do practically anything. For example, when a D-Class accidentally caused her harm, she simply wished him away. Fortunately, when she was made to feel guilty for what she had done, she wished him back. Also, SCP-239's self-preservation instinct makes her virtually invincible while she is conscious. But as a method of controlling her ability, she has been told that she is a witch. This, besides improving morale greatly, makes her believe that she is unable to use her abilities outside of a pre-approved list of spells given to her by the Foundation. But still, SCP-239 is to be kept calm at all times to prevent any subconscious wish of harm to herself or others. The girl was discovered after a hospital was destroyed by an unexplained explosion. The only living person that was located in the debris was 239, which at the time was a newborn. For the next 8 years, the subject was raised under SCP care, and after extensive testing, Dr. Clef proposed the termination of SCP-239, claiming that the anomaly is too dangerous to be kept alive, and a popular fan theory with which explains Clef's motives, claims that Clef, being the weird reality bender that he is some sort of devil, and that 239 is some sort of goddess, and that Clef wants to eliminate her as a result. But as of now, he hasn't received permission. Of course, a girl that can do anything doesn't sound that bad, as long as she remains in good mental health. But if SCP-239 escapes, the consequences would be devastating, and amongst all the chaos that the people would find themselves in, they would least expect that an ordinary-looking girl is causing all of this. So what do you think? Which one of these SCP's properties were the most surprising? And what should we explore in our next video? Let us know in the comments. Please leave a like if you enjoyed and subscribe so you don't miss any of our upcoming videos.